Hello. Passionate about sustainability, energy, and climate? You're in the right place. Welcome to Energ'ethic. I'm Maureen Cornelis, and together we will engage with people who dedicate their lives to climate justice and making a just energy transition happen. They may be activists, scientists, policymakers, or other enthusiasts, just like you. Let the life stories and insights inspire you to build a better future for people and the planet.
One of the unstoppable forces behind Energ'ethic. With her boundless energy and expertise, she has been in charge of advocacy and communication at Energ'ethic since 2018. Sara is on a mission to raise awareness about the incredible potential of local renewable energy. Not only that, but she also spearheads Energ'ethic's hub on community energy, bringing together like-minded individuals who are paving the way for a sustainable future. Sara first made waves in the Directorate General for the Environment of the European Commission and later took her talents to the Joint Research Centre. But it's at Energ'ethic where Sara's passion truly comes alive. Fueled by her unwavering dedication to sustainability, she wholeheartedly believes in the power of decentralized renewables to transform our world into a greener paradise. Join Sara on an electrifying journey as she shines the spotlight on the incredible people behind Energ'ethic. Sara, welcome to Energ'ethic.
Thank you, Mary. I'm very happy to be here.
So, Sara, what led you to become an advocate for energy communities and the transition to renewable energy?
So, let's say at the very beginning, mine was just a willingness to do something for sustainability, for powering a greener world. It started a bit in university, where I was part of the co-founder of a student association working on sustainability. And then little by little, I decided that this was something that I could really become in my work. And so that's how I worked for a while, like as a trainee for Legambiente in Italy. And then finally I came to Brussels and I joined Energ'ethic because I saw this really as an opportunity to do something concretely to foster energy transition and sustainability, starting from the cities themselves, who are the actor, let's say, that the level that is closer.
And how could you describe really shortly Energ'ethic for somebody who has never heard about it?
Yes, Energ'ethic is a network of local authorities who are engaged, wants to make their cities more livable and better for their citizens. So our network is composed by local leaders, but also technicians, people that work for the municipality. And we help them, we give them knowledge, and we make sure that their voice is heard at European level so that they can really do their job and be fully enabled to drive the European energy transition.
Okay, so you do a lot of capacity building towards civil servants, but not only civil servants, right?
Yeah, we do a lot of capacity building. So let's say big part of our job is capacity building on different topics. Another big part of our job is advocacy. We work on different topics, which, for example, include renewable energy, district heating, but also we are recently trying to work on new topics in order to be like more fully, have a more like of a complete approach to sustainability. So we recently started also working on project on food and circularity more in general, resource-wise economy, let's say. So our work is mostly capacity building, advocacy, and we try to do also engage cities in pilot projects where they can test new approaches and new way of working to achieve their objectives.
And about that, are there any challenges or any, on the contrary, opportunities that they are, let's say, bringing up front, and so that you manage to handle as an organization, as a network of cities? And if yes, could you share some examples?
So I think municipalities have the advantage of being engaged, like being, let's say, the first respondent when we are talking about the energy and climate crisis. So the advantage is that we have a direct access to them and their experience and their challenges. And with this knowledge, we try to make sure that we can speak with one voice for local authorities in Europe. Of course, we are aware that this is not, the situation changes. It's not the same everywhere, but most times people that work for local authorities, they share the same challenges. And for example, for the topic of community energy, I regularly speak with different people that work for local authorities in municipalities in different countries, such as France, Spain. We have a very diverse membership, and from basically almost all countries in Europe. And they share problems. So there are the situation changes, but the commonalities are the same. For example, there is an overall lack of resources and human. I'm really speaking of human resources, not just financial resources, for local authorities to be able to support community energy projects, or another project that is shared, no matter if they are from Croatia or France or Spain. It's also the lack of a legal framework that for procurement rules, so that municipality can tender and in a way that can be more accessible for energy communities, for example. There are a lot of things that sometimes at European level, it's not something that it's highly visible, but those are little problems that then they have to deal with when they need to implement and to make sure that what the European Union, let's say, is pushing for in terms of target, it's actually achievable, because that's where, in the end, concretely, things need to happen in order for us to be able to reach those targets.
And what kind of problems do you notice with the implementation? Because in my work, I also noticed that there is such big discrepancies between the lovely theory of the directives and the ideals that are presented in European legal text and what happens in practice. Because, of course, what happens in practice is ingrained into series of, let's say, cultural appreciation and variety of understanding, and the various stakeholders. The footprint will be different, and let's say even the way of being a citizen will be different from one community to another. So is that something that you have noticed in particular, or is there a particular case that has been very striking for you, really? One of those examples where you think, okay, there is so much potential and maybe we can do something about it?
Well, there are, for sure, when it comes to community energy, for me, what is striking is that this legislation, for example, was published in 2018. And it was supposed to be, and it's now supposed to be fully transposed in all member states. But at the same time, it's what you also mentioned. It's not like everything gets transposed in the same way. So basically, the Commission provides this, let's say, overall general, it's more like guidance legislation that then will have to be adapted in the national context in certain ways. And in this process of adaptation, which we call legally like transposition, it's sometimes things, they tend to either get lost or misunderstood. And so in the case of community energy, more specifically, some legislation that was supposed to really enable communities to take an active role becomes, on occasion, when the transposition is not well implemented, create new burdens and confusion. And it's also in the specific case of local authorities, we have situation like, for example, in Croatia, the transposition is not clear enough for local authorities to be confident that by, for example, favoring communities in procurement, they won't be confronted with legal action by other market actors, for example. So I think the case of transposition and procurement, more specifically procurement rules, is something that is very typical, because indeed the European Commission said communities should have, as social actor of the market, should have favorable access to this procedure. Sometimes they can also be exempted from tendering procedure. But then when you go to national level, I don't see this happening as much. And there is a lot of legal uncertainty, and municipalities are scared to take action. They are discouraged, because then this is also something that I was told by one of our members, like, you kind of put yourself in the spot. You want to innovate. By innovating, you're just doing something that no one else has done before. But maybe by doing this, everyone will be looking at you, and it will be easier to find things that you didn't go well, and then it's a legal action against you. It's complex. I think this is really an example of how this doesn't happen only in Croatia, of course. It's something that is quite common, but I think procurement is one of the biggest challenges, because that's an area where, of course, there is the power of at EU level to do something about, but at the same time, there is not a clear understanding of what is still feasible when we go at national level, and also there is a lot of red tape that gets in the way. Also when it comes to energy communities and working with citizens, municipalities working with citizens.
We've had a series of episodes about energy communities in this podcast, and from what happens in Colombia to different models brought up by the business. So I think we can understand that at a global level, energy communities can mean a lot of different things. But what is certain is that you have this idea of having a broader participation of citizens. And it's true that as municipalities or cities, it's still citizens are the people who make together the cities. And that would be quite a natural place for energy communities to develop somehow. But you said that there are challenges linked to procurement, to permitting, etc., and that actually expose a lot the promoters of this project. But what have you noticed as their main drivers? Because you are also the coordinator of the Energy Cities Hub on community energy, so you have such a good understanding of what is in the mind of decision makers at the local level. So what are their motivation? What is behind actually this idea and this willingness to expose yourself no matter what?
Well, I think working on community energy at local level has advantages that go beyond the need of local authority, of course, to access renewable energy and to have more renewables installed on their territory. So often community energy doesn't bring exclusively, say, environmental sustainability benefits and green energy. So it's not just about that. It also provides social benefits. So basically, thanks to energy communities, sharing energy, for example, can provide a solution to problems such as energy poverty, or the lack of energy literacy can also be addressed by energy communities, because they tend to provide services that go beyond the green energy, which of course in itself it's a great thing. So there are advantages that municipalities they see the potential. They see it's also the fact that in the end overall you contribute to create additional cohesion at local, social cohesion at local level. So there are a lot of benefits for municipality to work with their citizens on this topic, and that's why many of them are doing it, even if it becomes very difficult at times. I mentioned procurement, but also grid access. It's a topic that was spotted by our members as something that was not really easy for them. So sometimes they have this brilliant idea for a project, or they have already in mind where the installation could go. But then when it comes to, let's say, the information from the distribution system operator on grid availability, the information maybe it takes a while to come, or also sometimes they wait for months and then the grid is not available for them. So it's I think this is also another topic where there is some work to be done, but it's also a topic where you clearly see the advantage of working together with a municipality, because citizens on their own sometimes they would have more difficulties, but municipality, by working with the municipality, so I mentioned already what are the advantages for the municipality, but there are also advantages, of course, for citizens, for communities to work with municipalities. And this, let's say, facilitating role that municipality can have is definitely one of them.
And could you share some successful example of how those energy communities have made a significant, let's say, social impact on their local areas, neighborhood, etc.?
Well, I often share this example because it's one of my favorite, but Valencia launched their first energy community recently, and they have this big commitment of having their entire territory served by community energy, basically. And in order to do that, they created energy offices at district level so the citizens know where to go. And then they kind of facilitated the entire process of the creation of this energy community in the district called Castellaro Liberal. And they were there facilitating the meetings. But when I spoke with a colleague from the city of Valencia, which actually is not really the city of Valencia, but it's the Valencia Climate and Energy Observatory, he said that what they did was to give the instrument for citizens to be able to work on their own on this topic. So he really said, citizens, they can do this. I mean, it's not like they can and they want to. It's just that you have to provide them with the knowledge and the space, let's say, to do this. So I think this is a great example of collaboration. And this providing citizens with knowledge is something that I think the municipality is always willing to do when the resources are there for them to do so. And I'm telling you this because it's not the first municipality that provided this energy office. Even in Croatia, for example, our member Poreč, they opened quite recently a Sunny office where they provide information to citizens about everything related to solar energy, so that citizens might want to even just install solar power on the roof, but they have a place where they can go and get information. Sometimes it's not just, of course, community energy, but it's also about active citizenship, active energy citizenship, let's say.
Indeed, the European Commission recommends or is envisioning that there should be any kind of renovation hub, one-stop shops for renovation, but that could also, of course, include community energy somehow if conceived in a very comprehensive way. And they could also be points of information for people facing energy poverty or other kind of energy-related difficulties. So what would you further recommend either to municipalities or to the European level to make energy communities more tangible at this kind of municipal level that you tackle?
Well, yeah, for sure, providing more resources at local level, it's definitely a first step. And that's why Energ'ethic has this campaign, Local Staff for Climate, to really push for municipalities to be enabled in order to achieve the EU climate and energy goals. So definitely the issue of capacity, it's something that needs to be addressed. Then, of course, it's also a question of making sure that municipalities have a seat at the table when it comes to taking decisions that for which they will be involved in terms of, let's say, implementation. It's not just about setting a target and then saying, okay, we will do it, but we won't basically give them the instrument in order to act. I think it's important that municipalities are also involved in decision-making process. And for example, in the new Renewable Energy Directive, there is this obligation to define priority areas, acceleration areas where, for example, the permitting for renewable energy projects will be quicker. I think this is a clear example where we should make sure that municipalities have a say for the definition, for example, of these acceleration areas, so that they can identify the areas that are most suitable, and they can do that hopefully in consultation with their citizens. This will overall speed up the process and allow for avoid, let's say, the not in my backyard approach, which is still a problem at local level, unfortunately. But that's the direct consequences of an approach to energy that is not collaborative, it's not democratic, let's say. And hopefully, this is also an aspect that can be addressed in the future.
Of course, there is the question also of representativity. Having, when you say democratic, it supposes that everybody should have a voice and should be heard independently of their profile. And in particular, when we prepared this conversation, you mentioned the question of gender-related challenges in the energy sector. So what is your view on this? As Sara, not Sara of Energy Cities. And what is your vision on how to make the energy cities, energy community, but also, let's say, the Brussels bubble where decision-making happens a little bit more gender-friendly, gender-inclusive?
Yeah. Well, when we speak about community energy, I am part myself of energy cooperative that just started in Brussels. It's called Brew Power. And I find myself, for example, talking with the people in the organization, and they tell me, well, we don't have a lot of women, so they're in the core group. And it's also true that when I attended the latest annual event of RESCOP-EU, this topic of gender inclusiveness was very high on the list. It's true that sometimes we tend to offend the same people in the room, or at least the same category of people. And that is also why, for a while, community energy was seen as something that was just for the rich, basically. A bit it's because the topic of energy itself, it's not an easy one. So even for me, that at the beginning, when I first joined Energ'ethic, I had never worked on this topic before. It's not something that you're super comfortable to speak about when just arrived. So overall, it's not an easy topic. It's very technical, and as you know, the issue of women in science, it's again another issue that is linked with this. But then it's also that I think it's difficult to, this is something, inclusivity is something that you really need to think about when you set up your project in order to adopt certain actions, certain strategies to really make sure that everyone can attend. And on this, some energy communities are already trying to do that. For example, by, having a healthcare professional or kids babysitting services in their meetings, so that the parents, they can come, or if there is a single parent, they can come. So there are little things that are starting to happen because there is this ongoing discussion on inclusiveness and inclusivity. So things are moving. In Energy Cities ourselves, we have a gender quality plan, something that just to make sure that everyone is able to have the same type of opportunity, and to also so that every situation is taken into account. But then you see in Energy Cities, we also have a female director, let's say. So it's also something that definitely plays a role. The management style is very different. And I think this is overall a great advantage for us as an organization. There are different women that are kind of like in the management, me included. So I think this definitely contributes to have hopefully work culture which is better and more inclusive and more friendly towards all genders.
So it's about creating a work culture that is more inclusive. It's about creating the framework for women and actually parents to be able to join any kind of initiative that is outside the time when kids are expected to be in school or in daycare or whatever. It's really about fostering a culture that takes better into consideration the particular needs of certain categories of the population, right?
Yeah, it's also creating a space for different people to participate. Sometimes when we talk with citizen engagement, about citizen engagement with municipalities, they always tell us about the same problem, which is it's very difficult not to have the same usual suspect in the room. So we organize something around energy. We want people to come and to work with us on the topic, but then we end up with the same people in the room. How do we change this? And sometimes it's really also, it starts with a good mapping of all the actors on the territory, and not just sticking to the one that you know, but also going the extra mile in trying to reaching beyond your usual partners and your usual network. But it's also having an inclusivity plan, or setting meetings at a time of the day which is more convenient for a certain category of people that you want to meet. I think it's really about having an engagement and a strategy that already is including actions that are targeted specifically to the needs of the people that you want to include. I think by switching this way of thinking and going from me going to you, but making you come to me also, and that's more or less how, in my opinion, we should move if we want everyone to.
It's really interesting because in all the conversations we've had on Energ'ethic about energy communities, the figure of the facilitator always comes back, whether it is a community supported by a researcher, as it was the case in the episode in Colombia, or whether it is a community supported by the business, as it was in the episode with Clean Watts. So you always have this idea that without an entry point, it will always remain an excellent idea, but only for a very tiny community of happy few. And what you are saying is actually that we need some facilitators. Is it something you as Energy Cities try to provide capacity for your members also, like on how to understand the various publics, how to kind of also overcome certain language, cultural, or like implicit barriers that may exist?
Yes, I think that's part of the work that we do. We publish, for example, together with Rescopeu, a guide on communication around community energy, because as such, the topic, it's not, as I mentioned before, it's not a topic that it's super easy to approach for someone that doesn't work in the energy sector. So we thought, why not developing a guide to help cities and citizens to work together and to make sure that their community energy project has the support that it deserves. I think the role of facilitator is very important because often, at least at the beginning, this project starts as a side project. It's not like people have that much time, and so it's indeed good if there is someone, and often it can be also the city, the municipality themselves that provide this facilitating role, like it happened in Valencia. That's kind of the glue that brings everything together, and hopefully it also gives more reassurance for to the people that are participating, that are part of the project, that someone has the full overview of the situation and is telling them what is that they can do to help. Basically, sometimes it feels very overwhelming, and it's good if you have someone that drives the process. And that's why we try in Energy Cities, we try to do this capacity building and to show cities that there are a lot of things that they can do. They don't necessarily need to be the one that have their own energy community, but they really empower citizens to create their own projects.
So do you consider yourself as a facilitator really for the community energy between EU legislation and municipalities somehow? Are you the empowerer?
Well, it's a big word, but we definitely do our best and provide the cities with the knowledge that they need on this topic. I'm luckily we are not the only one, but the hope is that by providing cities with this capacity, this knowledge, they are also enabled to take action, and then they can have the same role with their citizen. We recently launched our community energy espresso training, for example, and this is like an 8-hour online course where dedicated, really directed to municipalities, where through which hopefully they get a first understanding on what community energy is, what are their, let's say, energy rights, and how they can contribute to this energy revolution, let's say. So yeah, our role is definitely to be one of the facilitator at European level for this topic. And also and we can do that because we work with a big number of great partners that support us in this. I mean, Rescop is one of them, but we are also part of the Community Power Coalition, which is like a European network of like-minded organizations that do, for example, does advocacy mostly towards the EU institution to push for a favorable legislation for community energy. I think indeed it's good that we are never alone, and we can always count on our partners so that we do our best and provide the knowledge to municipalities.
And is this 8-hour training available to everyone, or is it just for the members of Energy Cities?
Our community energy espresso training is open to every municipalities. We really thought about European municipalities for this training in particular, because we provide a lot of information on the European context, European legislation, let's say. But the truth is that we also got requests to participate from municipalities that are not from the European Union, and it's okay. I think as long as you're a local authority, this training might be useful for you. it's mostly to provide municipalities with some first knowledge on the topic, so that they can then get more specific knowledge, hopefully at national level, because we are still talking about a training in English, even if we are working already with some organization at national level, so that they can adapt it and so that it becomes even more relevant for municipalities. In this case, we are working with organizations in Italy, in Poland, in Croatia, and Lithuania, but hopefully we manage to do better and just involve more organization and make the knowledge accessible to municipalities all over Europe.
So there are different editions of this training, right? So where can people find information about it on the Energ'ethic website?
On Energ'ethic's website, you can find information about the training in English, which at the moment is the only one available. Okay. So hopefully next year we manage to have more, but at the moment the training is available only in English in Energ'ethic's learning platform.
Okay. And that's really great. I will put it in the show notes for anybody who is interested in this topic. And I really need to catch up with Rescoop to know if there is the same kind of training available for citizens, like everyday people. I'm sure there is. Anyway, I wanted to ask you, and it will be a way to wrap up this conversation, what do you envision for the future of energy communities, really? And how do you think they can fulfill their potential in creating a greener, more sustainable, more inclusive world?
Well, I think hopefully with the elimination, let's say, once we free the road from some blocks that are currently a bit like some of them we discussed during this podcast, there should be for sure more projects popping up all over Europe. There are some member states where we don't have many. And we can still see that there is this tendency, let's say, for community energy project to happen even when, let's say, the context is not super advantage. So I think in the future we will have more and more energy community project and also hopefully more energy citizens in general. So people that will know more about energy and how they can be more active, so become the prosumers, not just consumers. So I really hope that this will happen, so that everyone will have access to greener but also cheaper, hopefully, energy. So this hopefully will help also address the issue of energy poverty. Then I think that energy communities will be able to better fulfill their role and be really one of the green arm for Europe when there will be more knowledge about their potential. So at the moment, the community energy topic it seems like we're always talking about it, but the truth is that the average person doesn't really understand it yet and doesn't even know what they are. I mean, you speak with your family, with people that are not working on the energy topic, and they don't know what an energy community is. So I really hope that there is a lot of still knowledge to be shared and a lot of road before we really have this concept clear for everyone, so that hopefully more people will be able to participate. So it's not just about making sure that community energy is understood, but it's also making sure that citizens are more knowledgeable on the topic of energy. And for this, it's also something that like podcasts like yours contribute to, I guess. It's really spreading the knowledge on the energy so that it doesn't stay as a topic that it's only for expert and energy companies to understand. I think, in the end, it's all about making energy more democratic, because as I recently was told, energy is power, and it's not just electricity in the electricity sense. It's also democratic power, political power. So as soon as we democratize it, then we will have more concept, more such as energy communities in Europe.
Yeah, so energy is really an instrument to build more resilient and democratic societies that better acknowledge the power citizens really have, and citizens really in the sense of people getting together to build a future that is more alike and that is more positive really for them and for the rest of the community. Thank you so much, Sara. It's been such an informative episode. I learned a lot. So thank you so much. Anything you want to share before we wrap this podcast up?
Thank you, Marine. Well, yes, I don't know if it's something that maybe I have to ask you before, because I'm not sure this is still going to be relevant.
Go ahead.
For when the podcast will be published. But I would like to invite your listener to join us in Modena at the 18th of October, the week of the 18th of October. We have our annual event, where also community energy, of course, will be one of the topics. So I really hope to see some of you in Modena.
Okay, and I would love to join too. So maybe we'll see each other in Modena then.
Definitely. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sara.
Thanks for listening to Energ'ethic. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive into sustainability and the just energy transition with the most inspiring stakeholders. All links and resources are in the show notes. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like this podcast, why not recommend it to a friend or a colleague? To continue the conversation, head on over to Twitter or LinkedIn. Thank you for lending your ears. That's all for this episode. Until next time.